Here are 10 creepy abandoned schools in the world. Number 10. Grookham Court Manor School. Built around 1850, it started off as a family home but then became a junior school for the children of military personnel. It remained unused when the Air Force left the area. It was then reopened as a boarding school from 1961 to 1990. Then the rooms were used as bedsits until 1997. But back in 1988, there were many cases of child abuse reported from this school. 3 staff members and a principal were convicted. Over 20 years later, another person was convicted when a victim came forward. Number 9. Val Benoit University. This university, located in Belgium, once produced some of the finest mathematicians. It has been abandoned since 2005. Due to the architecture design within the structure, it has suffered very little vegetation growth from nature. However, the city of Liège is planning a major redevelopment of the complex for 2015. Number 8. Lillesden School for Girls. Closed down in 1999, this site has since become an attraction for artists, film crews, and explorers. Stories say this place is full of strange surprises that are sometimes found behind locked security doors. This site was also location for several cult films, TV shows, and some scenes for Doctor Who, and 28 Days Later were filmed here. Number 7. Bennett College. This college was built around 1907 and lasted over 70 years. Around the time it closed, there were about 300 enrolled students. During the 1970s, the college was in financial distress. They attempted to upgrade facilities, but it was a failing venture. Then, in 1978, the college finally closed its doors for good. All that remains is a slowly crumbling facility. Number 6. The Tome School for Boys. Opened in 1894, it was part of a collective set of schools known as the Tome Institute, which ran from kindergarten to high school. But in 1898, the founder, Jacob Tome, passed away and left a huge amount of endowment to the school, which the Board of Trustees then decided to add more facilities. Then, after decades of service, the Jacob Tome Institute ran into financial problems and finally closed its doors in 1941. Number 5. Pripyat Schools. In 1986, the schools in Pripyat were evacuated in a hurry due to the incoming radioactive dust from Chernobyl caused by a nuclear power plant going critical. And almost 30 years later, this area is still a desolate, empty city. Many areas are off limits due to the risk of structures collapsing. Number 4. Mount Pleasant Indian Industrial Boarding School. Established in 1894 and operational through 1934, children without families were sent here under the belief that they would be taken care of and have an education. Almost no documents remain about all the abuse the children received here. Only the memories passed down by grandparents can explain their horrible experiences that they endured at this school. It is believed that over 200 children died here from malnutrition. The land now belongs to the tribe that suffered the most during the school's operation. The Saginaw Chippewa Indian tribe is deciding what to do with the abandoned buildings. Number 3. St. Joseph's Industrial School. Opening on April 1, 1884, this place was intended to be a sanctuary for the less fortunate children. This school took in runaways, orphans, and sometimes criminals. But because of its location, The children ended up feeling alone, isolated, and suffered abuse throughout their time here. Around 99 boys died in this school hoping to call it their home. The site eventually closed in 1973 due to abuse allegations, but the investigations only began decades later, and by then, the children who suffered here were now elderly men. Number 2. Dozier School for Boys. Originally intended to be a reform school that took in young offenders, but by the 1960s it started accepting orphans, unwanted boys, and the homeless. Some people who grew up here during the 1950s and 1960s finally came forward and shared their stories about this place which they called hell. The institution was known for cruelty from the beginning, but the calls for reform were ignored and the abuse continued. Now, 60 years later, one of the boys recounts a nightmare he endured when his roommate counted 135 lashes with a leather strap. The school closed in 2011 due to financial reasons, but state records show that 96 boys perished while this school was operational. Then, in August 2014, researchers began excavating a mass gravesite which revealed 55 sets of human remains. Number 1. L'école de Médecine Vétérinaire. Probably the creepiest one on my list because of what was left behind. The main building was abandoned in 1990 when the faculty relocated, but they did so without taking all their specimens. Now the abandoned building is filled with jars full of hearts, lungs, brains, and pickled organs. Some people say that these contents stare back at you, which makes it feel like this building is still occupied. With so many grotesque experiments and samples left behind, it can leave you with a sickening feeling. What was mankind doing here? Subscribe to see more videos like this. So here are 2 more Destiny videos you guys can check out. On the left, I'm opening 17 exotic engrams, and on the right, we're deciding which of the 2 newest ships is the best one. So check them out, and I'll see you later.